September 11th, I walked off my stoop in downtown Jersey City, and started running back to the river. And that's when the front facade of the building fell on my buckets. I'm one of tens of thousands that are sick and dying. And it wasn't until 2017 that I was diagnosed with a malignant. That nobody's coming to save you.
Welcome to the Ravi Athale Perspective, the show where we sit with people who have been through the unimaginable and come out with something to say. I'm your host, Ravi Athale, and if this is your first time here, hit subscribe because every single week we bring you a conversation like the one you're about to hear. Today's guest is 9/11 World Trade Center and lung cancer survivor, entrepreneur, author, international speaker. He had already survived childhood sexual abuse, a decade-long addiction to narcotics. His story is not an easy one, but this is the one most powerful I have ever encountered.
Craig, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to tell my story.
Pleasure is mine, Craig. So, Craig, for anyone who is hearing your name for the first time, how would you describe yourself in just 3 words or 1 sentence?
Extremely resilient, empathetic, and loyal.
I like the way you said extremely resilient. All right. So, Craig, you've been a survivor, an entrepreneur, an author, or speaker. Which one of those identities feel most true to who you are right now?
Definitely entrepreneur.
And why?
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, ever since I was a little kid. I think it's just rooted in my DNA. It's presenting myself with as many opportunities as I can to learn and grow. And entrepreneurship does that.
Does that mean in your family someone was an entrepreneur?
Me and my uncle. That's all.
Oh, okay. That is where it is. That is where it's coming from. All right. So, Craig, take us all the way back. Where did you grow up? That's the first question I want to know about it. Second thing is, what did life look like before everything changed?
So I grew up in North Bergen, New Jersey, and it was on a dead-end street. Up the block was a park, Hudson County Park. It was a kid's paradise. And we were able to just romp in the street, man. You come like one of those old stories. You come back when the street lights on and stuff like that. I did that until I was like 6. We were street kids, and we played cowboys and Indians. We made spears and bows and arrows, and we just had a beautiful lake and a stream, and we were just able to be kids. And that was a really good part of my growing up. And then we moved to a place called Cliffside Park, New Jersey, which was literally the next town up. And I had a different geographical map per se, because I grew up
Okay.
on the cliffs. I grew
Yeah.
up on the cliffs overlooking New York City. So we explored the cliffs then.
So can I say you had a wonderful upbringing, wonderful childhood?
Yeah, definitely did.
Alrighty. So, Craig, now you have spoken publicly about experiencing childhood sexual abuse. That takes extraordinary courage to name. How early did you realize that experience was quietly shaping the rest of your choices?
I think like probably like when I was 20, I started to realize that I had that story and I wanted to start helping people. I knew very early on what I was going to be, and I didn't really look at it as a bad experience if I was going to learn from it and if I was going to help people through it.
So, Craig, how old were you when this happened for the first time?
I was in 5th grade. So however
Ah,
old you are in 5th grade,
and how long did it last?
just a few times.
And just don't name the person, but that person was part of the family or that person was an outsider.
No, he was a neighbor.
That is really intense. And at a very small age, you just don't open up to anyone regarding this. But did you eventually open up to anyone?
No, I was probably in my 40s when I started dealing with it. I used to be a national speaker and I used to get all of these accolades and I used to walk off stage thinking that I was less than because I wasn't dealing with emotional issues that I had at the time.
Okay, so since then, you never opened up with anyone, not with your mom and dad, not your siblings, anyone?
No, I grew up, my dad was a Marine and it was like
Oh,
whatever issues you had, you kept inside of you. So I just put it away.
okay. That is, I think, really unfortunate that you just couldn't open up and talk with someone regarding this. But Craig, the path from carrying that kind of hidden pain to narcotics addiction, drugs, that's a journey so many people walk in silence. What would you tell your younger self about that chapter if you could go back?
If I can go back and tell myself, I would say, love yourself more. It wasn't your fault. I've healed my inner child. My inner child is extremely grateful for the adult that I am. And I believe that once you alchemize that and you show the little child that it was okay at the time, little child's proud of the adult that you become. And when a little boy heals, the man shows up.
So, can I say this addiction was to overcome the sexual experience you had when you were very young? Can I say that?
Yeah, because like I had an accident when I was like 14 years old and I was playing baseball and I blew
Hmm.
my knee out. And we went to the doctor and stuff. And this is back in the day where it is like you didn't have cell phones and none of that. So I had to wait for the coach to come. And then I had to wait for the coach to drive me to home. We were latchkey kids. So we had the keys. Then I had to wait for my mom to come home because she was at work. And then she took me to the doctor. And I remember that night vividly. My mother, like, I had my leg drained, which
Hmm.
is extremely painful. And I remember my mother giving me a pill, a pain pill.
Okay.
And I remember like it was euphoric because as it took away the pain from my knee, it also took away the pain from dealing with being molested. That pain went away. And that was interesting to me.
Wow, that is really interesting. And that was a turning point for you to be
To start looking at
the
drugs,
addiction?
yeah, extreme.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because the mental pain went away, and it equated into something like, wow, this is amazing.
And Craig, how long did it last? Like for how many years did you take drugs?
From my teens to addiction, mid to late 20s.
Okay,
More than a decade.
more a decade. And how did your family react to it when they came to know about it?
My father used to tell me all the time, you could do whatever. However, if you are addicted to drugs, I'll cut you out.
Did he?
And no, he didn't. He showed love for his son. And that was really important. My father was my hero when I was a kid, man. Like
Okay.
he was a Marine. He taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to level up. He taught me a lot of things about what it takes to be a man. And a lot of lessons that I took with him, I still hold true to today. I'm 60 years old.
What about your mother?
My mother was my angel. When I was growing up, my mother was sick. We had gotten into a car accident, probably around that time, 13, 14. And she was one of those medical issues all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when she had passed, she had knee replaced, shoulder replaced, colostomy bag. She was the epitome of somebody that was really bad into medical.
Okay.
Everything happened to her.
Mhm.
Everything happened to her. And I used to watch her wake up and take a plethora of pills just to function every day.
A plethora of pills. That's a strong word.
Just to function. Yeah, just to function.
That's really unfortunate. I want to now, Craig, I want to go somewhere that most people would find impossible to talk about. September 11, 2001, aka 9/11. Where were you on that day? That's the first thing I want to know. Second thing is, what do you remember most vividly, even now, all these years later?
September 11th, I walked off my stoop in Jersey City, New Jersey, downtown Jersey City.
Mhm.
And I just looked and I had a perfect view of the World Trade Center.
Okay.
And I was like, the hell is that? You got a fire? And I was like, I was renovating two houses, one on First Street, one on Second Street, downtown Jersey City. And when I walked out, I saw the smoke. So I went around the corner to get my fiance at the time, and who's Indian, by the way. So when I went around the corner and I ran into the apartment and I was like, look, man, get your camera. She was a photographer at the time. I said, get your camera. What's up? I was like, I don't know, but the World Trade Center is on fire. And we had gone to the Hudson River. And while we were there, pandemonium, cops, sirens, like everything, like just an unbelievable, it was like a movie set. We're standing there about 10 minutes, 15 minutes or whatever, and the first tower came down. And it was like nothing I've ever seen. It was so surreal. And the cops were like on those speakerphones or whatever, and they were blaring, get out, run, do whatever. And we turned around and we started going back to the end of downtown Jersey City towards Liberty State Park. There was a cutoff where we lived that you can go through Liberty State Park. And when we got to that cutoff, we looked up and the second tower came down.
So did you see the first plane hitting the first tower?
No, I didn't see any of that.
But you saw the first tower coming down.
Yeah, my ex-wife has the towers coming down in sequences as she was taking photographs. She's got
so people, those who are not really aware of the New York and the area, how far were you and your wife from the actual World Trade Center?
Right across the river.
That's it.
Right across the river. Yeah, it's right. Downtown Jersey City is right on the Hudson River. Yeah. And the World Trade Center is literally like a street and a half back from the river. And then the second one came down. She's got the same sequence of, she's got all of those pictures, man.
Yeah.
And we were at Liberty State Park, and then the boats started coming, bringing people. And they were just disheveled, man. They just had all of this ash on them. Some were bleeding. Some were like freaking out. And I just looked at her and I was like, I got to get there. I got to go. I was in construction my whole life, and I figured I might as well get there before other people get hurt. I ran machines and all of that stuff. So it was an event that I needed to be there.
What did come to your mind and your wife or fiancé at that time, that what was going on when you saw both the towers coming down? What did you think of it at that time?
I didn't think of anything because back then we didn't know anything about terrorists. You know what I mean? We didn't understand. We just knew that something bad happened. And while we were listening to the radios, then we started to hear about Washington, D.C., Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And then we were like, what is going on, man? America is being attacked.
And you said you did go over there to help people. So how did you do that?
It was actually that day they shut everything down. The next day, I got on a boat to go across the river, and they took us to Battery Park. And we couldn't get off. The Coast Guard was like, no, you can't get off here. I didn't get on. We went back to help people when they were getting off boats and stuff. We were washing them down and putting towels on them and stuff. And the next day, I went down early. And I was like, because we were looking at this, the smoke is still going up. And I had taken my Tyvek suit. I had a white Tyvek suit and my respirator. And I was definitely wanting to go. And as we were down there, same thing, people coming off the boats, and I knocked one guy's hat off, his construction hat, knocked that to the side. Another guy came over and he had his reflector vest, right? Took that off, put that to the side. And when they were left, because they were never going back, when they left, I put the reflector suit on, I put the hard hat on.
All right.
And one of the guys was like, hey, you, come on, come. And I got on the boat and I was looking, I was like, what are all of these buckets for? What are they going to do with buckets? And there was hundreds and hundreds of buckets. And we got to the other side of the river and he was telling us, you got to keep your shit together. Guys have been there 2 days now. You got to wire your shit tight. And I didn't know what he meant. When I got off the boat, I took a whole bunch of buckets and put and was carrying them and just going to where they were telling me to go. And I couldn't see in front of me. I could only see the side. As I'm going through the atrium, right, this guy's hanging out, smoking cigarettes, and I'm looking up and I'm seeing like the rafters, like girds, steel beams precariously hanging. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And I'm walking through. And then it got dark, right? Saw these bags over on it. I didn't want to know what those bags were. Kept going. And there was a knee wall. And I started to see the light. There was light coming out. And I went over the knee wall. And so I had the buckets in front of me. And I went over the knee wall, put the buckets down. And the siren went off. And all you heard was run. And I was like, what? First, when I looked, it looked like Planet of the Apes, man. It looked like that scene where it was just completely messed up, man. And fire trucks crushed and all of this stuff. And when the alarm went off and I heard run, I ran. And we ran around the building and we started running back to the river. And that's when the front facade of the building fell on my buckets. And I was like, what am I doing here? Completely lost my shit.
That is not easy to take it. That is not easy to take it. Had someone else been there, I don't know what that person would have done it. But on the contrary, you thought of helping people and saving lives. That is incredible, to be honest, Craig. So good on you.
No, I wasn't there to save lives.
No, but you wanted to help people, if I put it in this way.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't want people not in construction be there.
Precisely. So talking about the World Trade Center, dust and toxin, that was a slow-moving tragedy for thousands of first responders and survivors. How long after 9/11 before the lung cancer diagnosis came?
So I'm one of tens of thousands that are sick and dying right now. And it took me from 2001 to 2012. I had a collapsed lobe of my right lung in Merida, Mexico, when I lived here. And it wasn't until 2017 that I was diagnosed with a malignant tumor in my chest.
And what was your reaction when you heard those words from the doctors that you've been diagnosed with lung cancer?
The first response was I wanted to throat punch him because he actually said that in front of my 11-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And it's the reason why I'm a patient advocate, because I think there's a lot of people that don't belong in this industry because
Mm-hmm.
everything is technical. So when you're talking about technical stuff, there's technical and then there's common sense.
Yeah,
And a lot of them don't have common sense.
that's right. And this lung cancer, do you think it was because of the dust and the toxin on that 9/11 day that could have impacted it in some way?
It's a very rare cancer that I had.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of the 68 or 69 cancers that are related to 9/11. That's why we knew it was from 9/11.
So it was
Yeah.
directly connected somewhere to 9/11. And Craig,
Yeah.
you speak specifically about doctors not always being right. And I'm coming to your story, and you wanted to punch that doctor as well. Did any medical professional ever dismiss your concerns or minimize your symptoms?
Oh, yeah. They had given me a biopsy, and I had a rigid and flexible bronchoscopy, and they nicked the tumor. And the tumor actually started sending stuff into my system. And the only thing that saved my life was the collapsed lobe of my right lung. It literally was dumping it into the collapsed lobe, and it just was like a container.
And how did you respond to it?
I was in the hospital for 7 to 10 days because I almost died.
Okay, that's very unfortunate. So, people watching this podcast, drop a comment below. Tell us what you're thinking right now if this happens with you. But that's really unfortunate, Craig. Your entire journey so far from the childhood has been an unfortunate series of events. But you were facing a cancer diagnosis while carrying the weight of past trauma and addiction. Most people can't handle one of those, let alone all three at once. So, how did you keep from completely collapsing?
Just kept going. Didn't have a choice.
What motivated you to do that?
Staying alive. I had my daughter at the time. I had a wife at the time, and it was like, you got to keep going, man. You got to keep going. My surgery was 9 hours. And
And how many surgeries did you have?
since 2017, 30 procedures and surgeries. If you count procedures, like 30 to 40. And I'm a lucky guy. I'm a very lucky guy. When I had the 9-hour surgery, my arm was extended, right? So I was on the gurney like that for 9 hours.
Yeah.
I ended up with Saturday night palsy. So I had to relearn how to use my arm because the nerve was damaged. And when they did my surgery, my recovery in the hospital, that was a joke all on its own because everything that could happen did. The pain management doctor, he tripped over my line and bent the epidural in my back.
Did it trip over?
I can't even make this shit up. When the nurse tripped over my drain in my chest,
Yeah.
in my ribs,
Yeah.
and pulled that out. And then the best one was when a nurse was cleaning my catheter, she actually pulled that out by accident. And that was, I guess, inflated. It still hurts to this day
That
as I'm
is,
peeing, trying to pee straight.
I think these nurses or medical professionals being very unprofessional. This is what has happened to you.
It was brutal.
And Craig, you always said becoming your own hero. So what does that actually mean when you're lying in hospital bed? And what does that shift feel like in your body?
So we're all going through something every day. Every day we have
Yes.
problems, issues. Some are worse than others. And becoming your own hero is about knowing that nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is. So you have to stand up again. You have to be that person. You have to be that unbelievable light that you are. And this is something that I teach and I encourage people because I never want people to be less than, because the way I felt. It was horrible.
You talk about friends and family living during illness, and that surprised me when I read it. Why does that happen? And what did actually teach you about the relationships you had built?
Friends and family leaving. So you're not fun anymore, right? You're not fun anymore. You're sick. A lot of people don't want to see you like that. It's a very hard thing to go through, and to go through it with people walking out of your life, not because they don't like you. It's because they don't want to see you like that. And that's something that I realized over the years.
So
Because
in your family, how many were there to leave you at that time, or who left you at that time?
just family members.
Okay, because they just couldn't see you suffering. That's why they
Yeah.
just thought of leaving you. Can I say that?
It's just not so much leaving, but just leaving you alone. And it's hard because you want people to be there, but they can't mentally take it because you're sick and you're dying. And they remember you as vibrant, and just it's a difficult thing to process.
I think that time they might have given a thought that you're going to die and you're not going to survive.
Exactly.
And during that time, was there one single moment during your recovery, a day, an hour, a conversation that you considered the real turning point? The moment you decided you were going to fight and win?
Yeah. So mentally, right? 2.5 years after my surgery, and I had excruciating pain for 6 years, man. And I had gone for a 9/11 physical, a yearly physical. And they had given me the x-rays and stuff. And I was studying epigenetics at the time because I had to walk away from pain meds because they weren't doing anything. Morphine, Dilaudid, Percocet, Percodet, it just wasn't doing anything. And my daughter's mom and my daughter used to be like, "You're a piece of shit, man. You're nasty on these drugs and all of that." And I was like, oh, immediately shut that off, right? And started studying epigenetics, and I started hearing about how the heart and brain coherence can heal your body and all of this stuff. So I was studying for about 2 years, 2.5 years. And I remember when a doctor walked in, she's, "Have you ever had a bad x-ray?" And I was just like, oh man, she's gonna tell me I'm gonna be dead by Tuesday, right? And
Okay.
and then I just stopped and I said, whatever she's gonna say right now isn't gonna take the smile off my face or make me upset. And come to find out, she didn't even have my records. She didn't have any of my paperwork to show that my mid and lower lobe, my right lung was gone. So she saw this big cloud and she was like, "He's fucked." Let me
But
tell him.
and
But I
and
wasn't. And that changed everything that day. That day changed everything for me because nothing in my biochemistry changed. I didn't have that, like when you get that feeling, right?
yeah,
When you get that, oh shit, I didn't have any of that. And that's when I realized that there was something to this. There was something to realizing that we can change internally.
precisely. And I want to pivot now from here, Craig, because this is where your story gets honestly wild. And when I say wild, it is honestly wild. And I mean that with full respect, to be honest. So, what are self limiting beliefs in real, practical terms? And what was the single most dangerous one that you personally had to identify and destroy?
Limiting beliefs that I wasn't enough. That beat me down. I realized while I was dying that I didn't have, we got wiped out financially, went bankrupt over this, lost everything, sold everything.
Yeah.
And we were just, I was a high achiever and I couldn't even pay the light bill. I used to think I was a piece of shit because I was putting my family through this financially. And what about my daughter? What am I going to leave her? And there was nothing to leave her. But then I found out it was what I was going to leave in her that would change everything for me. Started to realize that when she came home from school, Dad was there. And I remember we used to talk for hours, man. And that's when I realized everything changed. Everything changed, that I wasn't less than, I was more than. And that's something hard to go through. But you have to alchemize everything in this world. You have to sit in your own shit and understand that mentally, this is the only real estate we could own right here.
That's
Don't
right.
ever give up on yourself.
There's light at the end of a tunnel.
Yes, for me, it used to be the train.
And Craig, you speak on something called the quantum field. For someone who has never heard that term, how do you explain that? Second thing is, how does a cancer survivor and a real estate investor end up taking or talking about quantum physics?
So here's the thing, right? I've been studying stuff my whole life, right? I just didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
And once I started studying epigenetics and started to understand that humans wait for an event to happen in their life, right? In order to feel something different, in order to be happy. Like my kid has a birthday, I'm going to be happy. When I get married, I'm going to be happy. It's
Mhm.
all external validation. And what I realized was that I don't validate anything externally anymore. My life changes when I change inside. Then the universe catches up to you and validates the change. That's when all the synchronicities happen. What the quantum field is, it's like you have a cell phone, right? And they're able to give you a bill because they dialed into a frequency,
Right.
and it's something that you can't see, right? So I've been able to tap into my frequency to understand that humans can only see 1% of the light spectrum. That means 99% of shit that we can't even see, but we could feel.
Mhm.
And I've been able to tap into that. That's what I help people do, is tap into the quantum field. The human, I call it the human Wi-Fi.
So those who really don't know about quantum physics, can I put it in a different context that if you
Sure.
feel unsatisfied inside, everything nearby you or your environment feels happy to you, and that means the galaxy, the universe feels much happier than what you are.
I believe we're light seeking the human experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you tap into the math of who you are, you dial in that frequency, right?
Mhm.
It's the quantum aha moment, right? You're no longer validating the external world. You validated yourself.
That's the
Right?
word, validation.
Yeah, you've changed your biochemistry to
Mhm.
be able to control your emotions. And I'll give you an example. I was told 4 different times that I was going to be possibly treated for cancer, and they were only
Okay.
right once. But I'll tell you this quick story. In
Yeah.
September of 2024, I was getting my 13th, 14th knee surgery, 15th. I don't even remember at this point.
Okay.
And in September, I got my surgery. In November, I went to the doctor, and he was like, it wasn't healed. It was just puffy and it wasn't going down. And he's, to be honest with you, I believe you have synovial sarcoma.
Oh.
And 5 minutes later, he addressed me and he's, oh, wait, hold on a second. When I told you that you had possibly synovial sarcoma, you laughed in my fucking face. How did you do that? And I was like, because it's not my first rodeo. People misdiagnosed me twice. They told me I was going to be treated for possibly male breast cancer, because male breast cancer now is huge in the 9/11 community for men.
I never even heard of it. This is the first time I'm hearing it.
I got scars here and I got a scar here. They took 20 lipomas out of me, and they keep finding these lipomas. And the reason
Okay.
why I was laughing at him, because I believe the synovial sac has a tumor in it. I believe it's a lipoma. I
Mhm.
haven't gotten past any other surgeries or anything like that since then. And I have to watch it, man. I have to control how much I walk and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
physically, I'm still a mess. It's that I'm still alive that keeps me motivated and inspired. I'm a few years past my expiration date. And this is the reason why I'm going to be going on that journey that I was talking about.
That's an incredible story so far, Craig. Craig, you use this line, transmute pain into victory. Is that a skill someone can learn, or does it only become available to you after you have been absolutely broken?
No, it's a skill everybody can learn. See, the thing about learning what I'm teaching, everybody has the ability to do this. It's just what we concentrate on a daily basis. What are our habits? Our habits are so important, right? I don't watch sports. I used to be a bookie. I used to watch people destroy their fucking lives, gambling and all that, and I just swore. Once I stopped being a bookie, I just swore that I wouldn't participate in sports. Okay, so that eliminates sports. Do I go to a game? Yeah, absolutely, man. Everybody does, right? Do I concentrate on nonsense? No, I don't. I concentrate on frequencies. I concentrate on listening to Jose Silva, listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, right?
Yeah.
I meditate often. Took me 6 years to understand how to alchemize myself because I was in so much pain and I couldn't take pain medicine because I was an asshole. So it was like I had to shut that down for my family. So what I encourage people to do is just change your habits. When you change your habits, and you have to celebrate small incremental wins. Everybody always I want to be a millionaire, right? I want to be a billionaire. I want my Ferrari. I want my Lamborghini. I want my cars. I want my houses.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you happy. I coach people that have 15,000 square foot houses. Doesn't make them happy or joyful or at peace. Everything starts inside of us. And the outside world reflects who we are on the inside.
I reckon you need to be happy inside than the outside. Despite having Ferrari, Audi, BMW, big houses, and you're not happy from here, that means you're not happy. You're not satisfied.
You're not. You
That
never will be.
You never will be. Exactly. And Craig, you spoke about DMT and entheogen healing experiences. What I want to know is, what is DMT and what part does it play as far as healing is concerned?
So DMT for me it's dimethyltryptamine. It's what our pineal gland produces, gives us our vivid dreams and colors and all of that stuff.
Okay.
I've just been a psychonaut, and this was before I had cancer. I was actually mentored by a Knights Templar, and he sent me down a whole bunch of rabbit holes that I did not like.
Okay.
And he used to tell me all the time, the only thing that's going to get you free from all of this shit is dimethyltryptamine. And I was like, I don't even know what dimethyltryptamine is. So at that point, I had to come back to the United States. And when I came back to the United States, I had a friend of mine who was a molecular biologist. And I was talking with him one day, and he's, hey, man, I have a whole bunch of this stuff. Have you ever heard of DMT? So he ended up giving me a mint tin, a whole mint tin, right? And then he ended up giving me another mint tin of the MAOI inhibitor. And I went back home and was playing with it a little bit. And then one day my wife and my daughter were gone, and I was like, hey, you know what? I want to seriously know what this thing does. And I did it. And it blew the top of my head off. It takes you to realms that you've never thought you could ever go to. And it was the most amazing. It was like a cosmic bitch slap. It was something that started me on my journey to becoming the shaman from Jersey, to be able to alchemize all the things in my life. And it's not for everybody, 100%, but it's for me.
Did you take it only for once, or did you continue taking it again and again?
See, this is something you can't get addicted to. However, I did 300 rounds, and some people are just like, fatty, you can do 300 rounds.
300.
Yeah, I did a round a day for 2.5 years plus. And a matter of fact, it was a couple weeks ago when I went back, and they were just like, you don't have to come back anymore, man. And I was like, thank you. Thank you very much. And the last time I went, all they said was teach them. And that's what I'm doing, man. I'm going to be teaching.
Good on you. So Craig, for someone who has never experienced or who has never explored plant medicine or psychedelics, how do you frame the potential value without over-promising? And what's the honest case for it?
So here's the thing, they're starting to realize that if you take one round of mushrooms, and I don't encourage this for anybody, man. This isn't medical advice, none of that shit.
Yeah.
They're starting to see, like with veterans coming back from war, right, that have post-traumatic stress disorder. I had PTSD from 9/11, and I didn't realize it. But what they're saying is you mushrooms, LSD, they're starting to, ketamine, as well as DMT, they're starting to realize that you could take one round of mushrooms and be mentally free for 6 months. That means your trauma has gotten to a point where it's really bad, and then all of a sudden you alchemized it, and it's not there. It's there, but you're able to cope with it more.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I think humans are 1 or 2 steps away from tweaking, right? Getting that frequency dialed in. And when you get that frequency dialed in, heart and brain coherence kicks in, and then that's when you turn on that light, man. And I've turned on my light, and my light is never going to be dulled ever again for anybody.
Very well said. And Craig, you use mind mapping as a tool. Walk us through how you actually use it. Is it more a strategic planning tool for you, or it is fundamentally a healing practice?
It's both, actually.
How?
What we have to do is sit, right, and understand that we're all going through something, right? And when you're mind mapping, the way I mind map, right, is I look at all the bases of my trauma. I look at all the bases of all the shit that I've been through, and I wonder, like, how am I still here? And I started to realize I created a plan for myself. And the plan has many steps, and I just followed a step, one step at a time. And a lot of us need to just shut up. A lot of us just need to just stop everything that we do and understand that if you take the time and energy into yourself and not the external world, don't take the people, places, and things, they don't matter. You're in your head 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have to understand that basic math, okay, will take you to a level that you can perform as yourself. Because most people are afraid to change. Most people would rather be somebody else. With mind mapping, you can find all of your problems and work on yourself piece by piece. And that's what I do, and that's what I consider mind mapping.
Okay. And now, I have to be honest, when I first read your bio, I thought this man is a healer. And then I saw real estate, international corporations, owner, financing. I want to understand how all of this lives in the same person. So, Craig, when did entrepreneurships enter the picture? Was it before or after the cancer? And the second question is, what specifically drove you towards building business?
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, ever since I was little. And I believe being an entrepreneur helped me battle cancer. Beating cancer made me a better entrepreneur. I'm one of those guys, I'll start businesses, look at them, see how they work, burn them, just to see how they work, right?
Okay.
And what I realized is everything is a contract. Everything is a contract. And in real estate, I like creative contracts. I'm not the guy that's going to sit and tell you that, you know what, wait 15 years, and when you save your money, you're going to look at the interest rate and you're going to buy a house. Right now, you can go and take over somebody's house, and you could be on them. You can be on their mortgage potentially, right? Because it's subject to. You can take your contract and establish yourself as the owner, and they're still on the mortgage, but you're on a deed. Everything is a contract. Everything has the power to be controlled. It's the same thing with our mind.
That's right.
So this is the only real estate we could own. So how is it together? It's through the contract that you have with yourself.
And you talk about knowing how much you can take as an entrepreneur, as a person? How do you find that age? How do you push hard without destroying yourself in the process?
You can't destroy yourself in the process. I have
Yeah,
times.
you have.
And I believe you figure out what you could take while you're under the fire, while you're grinding, right? You're grinding and you're grinding and you're grinding. What happens is you wear yourself down. What can you take, right? I'm on this project now. This is the biggest project of my life, right? I can take it. I can take it because I understand all the nuances because of my life itself. When you have so many different moving parts, can you be the entrepreneur? See, there's a big difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner.
Yeah.
Huge. An entrepreneur is the guy that opens up a restaurant, right? But he also imports his stuff. He also goes and understands that it's cheaper to buy the whole cow than it is to go to the grocery store and get pounds at a time. So
That's
there's many facets of being an entrepreneur or being a business owner. I like throwing everything up in the air, let it see what sticks on the ceiling. Right? When I had 2 Indian restaurants in Merida, Mexico, and a
really?
spice shop. Yeah, and a
Okay.
spice shop. And what I realized was going, and plus I was importing and exporting. So I was importing rice from Pakistan through a Spanish broker in Mexico City. And when I got the rice at my restaurant, I was selling packets of rice to people that wanted basmati because they couldn't get it
Basmati
here.
rice. Okay.
They couldn't get it here in Merida, Mexico. That's an entrepreneur. A business owner would be a restaurant guy that runs a restaurant. Big difference.
That's a big difference. I totally agree. And Craig, you have worked with international corporations, LLCs, S corps. What's the one financial or structural insight that genuinely surprises most people when they first hear it from you?
It's a different language, right? It's a different language. And what happens is when you create corporations, you create a different entity other than yourself. So instead of me owning the restaurant, I would have ABC Corporation own the restaurant. I would have ABC Corporation or DE&F Corporation managing the restaurant. So you're layering liabilities. It's a very different language. But it's one, once you study it and understand it, it'll work in your benefit. Look, I've lost everything multiple times, man. I'm not saying that I'm like the great entrepreneur and all that. No, this is just part of my life.
You've been there and done that, and again back to on your feet.
Many times, man.
Many times. That is what is so far very incredible about your story. It is so fascinating. And I'm so intrigued so far that you have been down on your knees so many times, but you had guts to stand up and make that happen again and again. That is what I think winning is all about. And Sean Paul, in a testimonial, called you extremely knowledgeable in all things financials and life. That's high praise. What's the one financial truth you wish every person in their 30s already knew?
The difference between currency and money. It's a huge difference. Money is a store of value. Okay? Currency is the stuff that happens when it ebbs and flows through your account. And a lot of people are stuck. What they're chasing now is currency. And they don't even have the knowledge of what a store of value is. Right now, our conversation is the money. Everything that happens after that is the currency. It's the byproduct.
It's a byproduct.
It's a byproduct, yeah. And that's what people do not understand. You have to learn the difference between currency and money. I live a life that billionaires are jealous of. Millionaires are jealous of. Because I do whatever I want. I'm not looking for external validations anymore. This is me, authentic. And this is the reason why the next challenge is going to be the biggest one of my life.
Yep. And finding your niche, so many entrepreneurs wrestle with this for years. How did you find yours? And how do you know when you're actually found it versus just found something that works for now?
Like I said, everybody's chasing money or currency. They don't know what money is. So what do you want to do in this world? And the thing is, it's like whatever you want to do, you got to do it for free. And I did for the longest time, for years. I gave phone calls, thousands of phone calls away. Literally. I've been broke so many fucking times that people used to be like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You want to do something to where you're passionate about it, right? You want to step up and not care what other people say about you. Mock you, ridicule you, call you a loser, piece of shit, whatever, man. It doesn't matter. I just know that they're describing themselves through their experience. That's why I'm sitting in this life now, getting healed in Mexico and ready to take on the biggest challenge in my life. And so far, this is exactly where I needed to be.
Okay. And what does property management teach you about human nature, about people, that most formal business education simply never will?
People. They don't teach you about people in school. They teach
They
you
don't?
about widgets, right?
That's right.
You have to understand what the human experience is all about, man. When you're
That's
a
right.
property manager, you got to be the psychologist, the banker, right? You got to be their psychiatrist. You have to motivate, inspire. You have to listen to their bullshit stories when they're attempting to talk you out of your monthly payment because they have issues. You have to be everything to these people, man. And when you're throwing somebody out, right? I used to be like, I would throw somebody out on Christmas Day because I didn't put them in that position.
Oh,
People used to be like, oh, I'm late for Christmas and I can't. Why? Because you got to buy presents? Because you have to give the kid validation? Pay your fucking rent. It's only Christmas to you. You're not paying your rent. People look at you like, oh, you're rich. And no, I'm not. I'm broke because
you
you
are.
didn't pay your rent.
That's precise. So let me now take you to some another level, Craig. Let's talk about your public work, because you have built something here that goes way beyond your own story. You have spoken on international stages. When you walk into a room to speak, what do you want people to feel when they walk out? What's one thing you need to land every single time?
When I'm talking, I want to be felt rather than heard, right? So when I have people in front of me, I want to leave them better than how I found them, right? So if you're listening to my voice and you're seeing this face for radio, I want you to be better than how I met you.
Okay.
And my life now is going in that direction.
So does that mean that whatever you're going to talk, it needs to come from the bottom of your heart so that people could resonate with you on the
You have to be
same
authentic. You have to authentically be yourself. And that's what a lot of people are afraid of, man, is
and
becoming themselves.
becoming yourself. That is what everything is all about. So, Craig, what is the difference between speaking from lived experience versus speaking from learned knowledge? Can an audience feel it?
Yeah, it's entirely different. It's not scripted. I became a Les Brown power voice speaker in 2020 while I was battling a whole bunch of surgeries. And it was Buddy Iffy. He was there and he used to tell me all the time, we don't get ready, we stay ready. So what does that mean? Stay ready. And I started to understand just recently what stay ready was. It was like you have to just be yourself. Everybody else is taken, right? So just authentically be yourself and the audience can feel it.
Yeah.
Because it's not scripted. My name is Craig Sotkovsky. No, man, no. This is me. This is me. I'm authentically me, and I want you to become authentically you. They could feel that.
And that is why Ulrich and you've been featured in Time Magazine, Fox 5 Atlanta, Bold Journey, Voyage ATL. Which media experience surprised you the most and why?
Time Magazine.
Why?
Let me tell you something, right? I keep that on my website just because how they fucked me. Okay. So I keep that on my website just so I remember how manipulating the media is. I had a phone call for an hour and a half, and a woman was talking to me about how my story is unbelievable, and you have a book out, and you have like all this amazing stuff. For an hour and a half, I'm talking to her. And I blew up online saying, yeah, man, Time Magazine reached out to me, and I'm going to have this article and all of that. And I was proud. And if you go to Time Magazine, 9/11, it was an overall story about 9/11 responders, which is great. Get the whole voice out and understand that we're sick and dying. However, that being said, I have 2 lines in that, and it said Craig Sotkovsky hopes the Victims Compensation Fund pays so he can pay his credit card bills.
Oh,
Out of the hour and a half conversation, that's what I got stuck with. However, that being said, I'm in Time Magazine.
and tell us about your book. What's the central message? And specifically, who did you write it for? Who is the person sitting somewhere right now who needs to read it most?
Everybody. It's my book. It was about all my fucked experiences and how the world can't hold anything back, can't hold anything against me, because I just basically gave them all my crazy experiences on a platter. I wrote that my whole life. My editor used to laugh. She used to be like, dude, man, we got to calm some of this stuff back because there's no way that they're going to believe this shit.
What's the name of your book?
Everybody pays a VIG.
Wow.
One man's entrepreneurial journey. It's the VIG that you pay every day that you're never getting back. So in bookie terms, whether you win or lose, you still have to pay the house.
That's
Something.
right.
So I want people to become the house because the house always wins. And this is the reason why I'm going to do what I'm doing.
Makes sense. Writing a book this personal means being brutally honest about your worst moments. Was there anything you almost didn't include? Something you almost kept private?
Everything is public. There's nothing that I hold back on. I wouldn't be
And
authentically me if I held anything back.
so as long as you're authentic, upfront, honest, and just being you, I think that is what people are going to resonate with you. Otherwise, it's going to be a fake story anyone could build up anytime, anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is AI now.
Everything is AI, artificial intelligence. And Craig, you talk about learning from your mistakes as being central to everything you do. What's the mistakes you have learned from the most? The one you are almost grateful happened?
Man, that's powerful. I've lived in a lot of different cultures, and I've experienced a lot of different cultures. I was married into a different culture for 25 years. And what I realized is that nobody laughs or cries in a different language. And that's something that I keep in my heart, and it's something that resonates with my message. And that's first and foremost. The first thing I think about every day is how I'm going to make my mark in this world and then learn how to execute on it.
Alrighty, so we are in the final stretch, and I want to close with something a little different, Craig. I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire. First instincts, no overthinking. Can you handle it? Let's see. But before that, I'm going to ask you some different question, and then we'll start the rapid round. If someone is listening to this right now and they are in the middle of their own worst chapter, what is the one thing you need them to hear from you?
Keep going through it. It's valuable to just keep going through it. Life's, whether you want to participate or not. So why not hit back? You have to hit back. You got to stand back up again. You got to keep moving forward. Don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever do that.
That's a message from Rocky Balboa movies, Sylvester Stallone, telling his son the same thing. All right, let's start the rapid round for you, Craig. So just you have only one answer. Okay, so it's book that changed your life.
The Art of War. The Art of War is the businessman's Bible.
Okay, all right. Morning habit you would never give up.
Being grateful. Meditating.
Nice one. Best advice you ever received. One sentence.
Nobody laughs or cries in a different language. For
That,
life.
that is also correct. And Craig, in 5 years, what does that look like?
Oof. Global dominance. Right? I'm starting this project now in July that's going to take me to an entirely different level, man. I'm actually starting a cancer and mental health campaign for the September 11th, 25th anniversary. And I'm traveling around the United States in an RV, have a GoFundMe set up, and I'm gonna be interviewing people, man. Cancer patients, 9/11 responders themselves, and it's gonna take me in 5 years. What my life is gonna look like is gonna be incredibly different.
All right, so you've already done the manifestation, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I stepped into my parallel life. I had a paradigm shift. This is the greatest. Yeah, this is the greatest paradigm shift I've ever entered. And a paradigm shift with my daughter.
Last question for you, Craig. Where can people find you, follow your work, or book you to speak? Your websites, any social media, anywhere, if they want to connect with you?
Social media is Craig Sotkovsky. You can go to my website, craigsotkovsky.com, and you could buy my book. And as far as speaking, just hit me in my DMs and let me know where you want me to speak.
So for the audience, I'm going to put this in the description. So all the links would be there in the description. So they need to see it over there. And I would say it's a great story, and it's very inspiring and motivational at the same time.
Craig, thank